Picture this. It's Halloween night,
Okay.
2014, and you're at a party.
Right.
Music's thumping, everybody's in costumes.
Yeah.
You should be having a great time, but there's this secret weighing you down.
Oh, wow.
This is the situation that Alan Beam, the lab director at Theranos, found himself in.
Oh, really?
And the thing is, he knew that the company's blood testing technology,
Right.
the one that had made Elizabeth Holmes a Silicon Valley star,
Mm-hmm.
it just didn't work.
Oh, wow. Yeah, FDA approval for medical devices is a really serious thing.
Right.
And it's there to protect patients,
Exactly.
from things that could potentially harm them.
Right.
And so to know that and to have to pretend everything was fine.
Right. And to keep up appearances.
Yeah.
Especially when he bumps into a colleague at this party, Curtis Schneider,
Oh, no.
who's totally oblivious to the problem.
Oh, wow.
And Schneider brings up the FDA.
Oh, geez.
Like, how's it going with the FDA?
Yeah.
And Bean has to just play it cool.
Oh, man, that's got to be so stressful.
Can you imagine the tension?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it really speaks to the pressure
yeah.
at Theranos
Yeah.
to understand how things got to this point.
Mm.
We kind of need to go back and look at
Okay, yeah.
Elizabeth Holmes.
Right, the founder.
Yeah, even as a child,
Mm-hmm.
she was incredibly driven,
Really?
very ambitious.
Okay.
And there's this one story about her running a track meet,
Okay.
and she was dead last.
Oh, no.
But she refused to quit,
Wow.
even when people were laughing.
Oh, my gosh.
She just kept going.
Wow. So she really just could not accept defeat.
Yeah, it seems like she just couldn't accept failure,
Yeah.
even then.
So interesting how that plays out later.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that drive and that inability to accept failure,
Yeah.
it's almost like it blinded her.
Yeah, it makes sense though if that's how she always was.
Right.
Yeah.
Even though her parents were like,
Yeah.
you should find something meaningful.
Right. Not just chase money.
She drops out of Stanford
Oh, wow.
to pursue her dream,
Oh, wow.
which is very much a Silicon Valley story.
Totally. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You got to buck the system.
Yeah.
Follow your dreams.
But with Holmes, it led her down this,
Is that when things started to go wrong?
well, we'll see.
Okay.
But there was this time when she was an intern in Singapore.
Okay.
And this seems to be kind of a turning point.
Oh, okay.
She was frustrated by traditional blood testing.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Have you draw vial after vial.
Yeah, it takes so long.
Wait for the results.
Yeah.
And so she really wanted to disrupt this.
That makes sense.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then comes Jacques Roy.
Okay.
He's a Stanford PhD student.
Mm-hmm.
And he becomes Holmes's co-founder
Oh, wow.
and the technical mind
Okay.
behind Theranos.
All right.
And Holmes pitches him this vision of the TheraPatch.
The TheraPatch. Okay.
Yeah, this patch that could diagnose any illness
Oh, wow.
and even administer medication
With just a drop of blood.
with just a tiny drop of blood.
Wow. That sounds amazing.
Sounds like Star Trek.
It does.
But even then,
Yeah.
there were these red flags.
What do you mean?
Well, the science behind the claims was kind of shaky,
Oh, really?
to put it lightly.
Oh, so even then it was kind of like she was maybe overselling it?
But Holmes was undeterred.
Oh, wow.
She starts trying to get funding from venture capitalists,
Makes sense.
anyone who would listen.
Yeah.
She wanted to pitch this grand vision.
Okay.
One meeting was with Annette Campbell-White,
Okay.
who's this very experienced investor,
Mm.
and she was known for being very rigorous, like due diligence.
Oh, so she really wanted to get into the detail.
Yeah, and I imagine this meeting
Yeah.
was a clash of personalities.
Yeah, I could see that.
Campbell-White wanted concrete details.
Yeah.
Proof,
Mm-hmm.
Holmes was relying on charisma
Ah.
and promises.
So not so much on the details.
Right.
of it.
And Holmes did not take the criticism well.
Oh, really?
She reportedly stormed out,
Oh, wow.
furious.
So she was not open to feedback.
It seems like even then she couldn't handle pushback
Wow. Interesting.
or acknowledge flaws.
Yeah, and that's going to come back to bite you
Yeah.
later.
Yeah, it seems like that might be a theme.
Okay, yeah. This is fascinating.
So we'll see how that plays out.
All right, I'm ready for part 2.
But even with that setback, Theranos starts gaining momentum.
Really?
Yeah, they get funding, expand their offices.
Okay.
They even attract top talent like Edmund Koo,
Edmund Koo. Okay.
the head of engineering.
So it seems like things are going well.
Yeah, on the surface, it looks like Holmes's vision is becoming a reality.
Right, but I imagine behind the scenes,
Yeah.
it wasn't all smooth sailing.
Yeah, not exactly.
Okay, so what was going on?
Well, for one thing, Holmes was very insistent on this aggressive timeline,
Okay.
and she was totally committed to this one drop of blood promise.
Right, right.
But the reality was that the technologies wasn't there yet.
Oh, so there's this like gap between the promise and what they could actually do.
Exactly.
And I imagine that put a lot of pressure on the team.
It did. And it wasn't just the technical challenges.
Yeah, okay.
The culture at Theranos was becoming increasingly secretive and paranoid.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like there's this constant fear of leaks,
Okay.
industrial espionage,
Yeah.
and it led to these extreme measures.
Like what?
Like communication between teams was restricted.
Wow.
They sued former employees.
Oh, geez.
Even casual conversations were being monitored.
That sounds intense.
Yeah, it was a very toxic work environment.
Yeah, that's not going to foster innovation.
No, not at all.
Yeah, when people are afraid to talk to each other, that's not good.
Right, it just creates fear.
Yeah.
And it stifles any kind of creativity or problem solving.
Right, exactly.
And in the middle of all this, Roy starts having serious doubts.
Okay, yeah, he was the co-founder, right?
Yeah, and he sees Holmes berating Koo, the head of engineering, for not meeting her unrealistic expectations.
It seems like she's not really acknowledging the real problems.
No, it was more about maintaining her image of control.
Yeah, that's a problem.
So Roy's at this crossroads.
Okay.
He knows the company's built on lies.
Right.
But walking away means giving up years of work,
Yeah.
risking his reputation, everything.
Oh, wow. That's a tough position to be in.
What do you think was going through his mind? Well, I imagine he was torn between this loyalty he had to the company, but also this moral dilemma.
Right. If he stayed silent, he'd be complicit.
Yeah.
But speaking out could ruin his career.
Right. A tough choice.
And in the end, he chooses to walk away.
Wow.
He realizes it's just not sustainable.
He got out.
Yeah, he got out.
Wow, good for him.
But Roy wasn't the only one.
Really?
The company's CFO, Henry Moseley,
Okay.
was also becoming troubled.
Oh, interesting.
He was a seasoned finance guy
Okay.
with a strong ethical compass.
And he was really disturbed by these inflated revenue projections
Oh, wow.
and the fact that Theranos was basically faking demos to impress investors.
So they weren't even close to having a working product.
No. And Moseley knew this couldn't last forever.
Makes sense.
So he decides to confront Holmes.
What? He went directly to Holmes.
Yeah, which was very risky.
Oh, yeah, he could have been fired.
What do you think motivated him to do that?
Well, I mean, he had a responsibility to the company.
Right, to the investor.
And I think he was just genuinely concerned about what was happening.
Yeah, it seems like he couldn't just stand by and watch.
Right, he had to do something.
But as you might expect, Holmes didn't like this.
Oh, no.
She fires him,
Oh, wow.
silencing anyone who dared to question her.
It's a pattern.
It is, right?
Yeah, she can't handle any kind of criticism.
Exactly.
Wow, this is getting intense.
I mean, it's a huge fall from grace for someone who was considered the next Steve Jobs.
It really is, yeah.
This woman who is going to revolutionize healthcare ends up facing prison.
Yeah, it shows that success built on lies just doesn't last.
Right.
Especially in healthcare,
Yeah.
where people's lives are on the line.
Right. You can't cut corners.
No, absolutely not.
And after years of these legal battles,
Yeah.
Holmes is found guilty
Wow.
on multiple counts of fraud
Yeah.
and sentenced to over 11 years.
Wow, 11 years.
Balwani got a similar sentence.
So they both went down.
They both went down.
That's a strong message
It is.
that this kind of fraud won't be tolerated.
Yeah, especially when it comes to public health.
Right, you can't mess around with that.
It's a victory for everyone who was hurt by Theranos.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it shows that no one is above the law.
Right, not even these big Silicon Valley stars.
It's interesting how Holmes defended herself, though.
Oh, how'd she do that?
Well, she claimed to be a victim.
A victim?
Yeah, manipulated by Balwani,
Oh, wow.
her former partner.
So she's saying she wasn't really in control.
Right, and it raised all these questions about gender dynamics in tech.
Oh, yeah, that's a whole other conversation.
It is right.
Yeah, like how much did that play into it?
But ultimately, the jury didn't buy it.
So they held her accountable.
Yeah, they did.
And even though Theranos is gone,
Yeah.
it still sparks debate about Silicon Valley culture.
Right, it's this cautionary tale
Yeah.
about the dangers of getting swept up in hype, the allure of disruptive technology.
Right. You got to be careful.
You do.
Not everything that glitters is gold.
So what can we learn from all of this?
Well, I think we need to be skeptical.
Yeah.
Especially with these big promises when there's no real evidence.
Yeah.
And think twice when it comes to healthcare and finance.
Right. Those are high stakes.
Exactly.
And at the end of the day,
yeah.
real progress has to be built on honesty,
Right.
transparency, a real desire to make the world a better place.
Yeah, not just making money.
Not just making money.
Well said.
And I think it's also a reminder that we have to hold people accountable.
Yeah, we can't just sit back and let things happen.
Right, whether it's demanding transparency from companies or supporting investigative journalism.
Exactly. We all have a role to play.
That's a great point to end on.
Yeah.
And that wraps up our deep dive into the rise and fall of Theranos.
Fascinating story.
A reminder that innovation and ambition are important, but they have to be grounded in ethics.
Absolutely.
If you enjoyed this deep dive, be sure to subscribe to The Deep Dive for more explorations of captivating stories and thought-provoking topics.
Yeah, you won't regret it.
Until next time, stay curious.